Hey, welcome back to a brand new episode of What Was. Now, for those that don't know, What Was is a series where we cover the most famous and infamous moments and events throughout gaming history, from when that event or moment was first perceived to how it's been perceived throughout time to where it is now and how it's looked back at now in modern day. And for today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Xbox 360. So with that being said, let's get into it. So to kick things off, just like with any upcoming next-generation system, the Xbox 360 had a whole bunch of rumors, leaks, and speculation about it. The most prominent being that, for one, it would release at some point in 2005, which it inevitably did, and the other rumor being that it was going to be called the Xbox 2, which made sense considering the existence of the PlayStation 2 and the inevitable PlayStation 3. But instead of going with the expected and normal name for the system, once unveiled at MTV in 2005, Microsoft had officially unveiled the system as the Xbox 360, aka announcing the death of the original Xbox's short-lived lifespan. And to really put emphasis on the console being called the Xbox 360, Microsoft had the on button in the form of a circle, each part of the circle representing 4-player controller support, and once turned on fully, allowed a full green circular climax, with more details of the console released at E3 2005 only a month later, also showing off the very sleek and sexy looking design, which honestly should have been black instead of white. But that was rectified many years later, but we'll get into that much later on in the video, don't you worry. And so, after many months of waiting, the console had finally been released on November 22nd of that year. And the best part about it being the 50+% failure rate that it had, leading to every single Xbox 360 owner having to buy at the minimum of 20 brand new Xbox 360s per year. And the reason for this being that at the time, Microsoft, being the geniuses that they were, decided instead of having it released in 2006 once it was ready for launch, instead decided to have it release a year earlier than it should have to beat out the PlayStation 3 by a year in sales. Because why release a console when it's ready to be released, when instead, to get the upper hand on your competitors, you can release it a full year early? Now that's what I call smart manufacturing. And back in the day, the biggest sign of your Xbox 360 failing was the PTSD triggering red ring of death. To this day, 14 years later, it still gives over 86 million people in the world nightmares. That's how bad the red ring epidemic was for its time. And so you may be wondering, if the console was such a broken piece of shit, why the hell did people keep buying it? Sure, there was the PlayStation 2, the GameCube, and even the original Xbox, but that was all old news. Everybody just wanted the new news. And sure, there was also PC gaming, of course, but at the time, the stereotype of it being too expensive still held pretty true. And so now you may be wondering, well, after the first year of the console, since there is now the PS3 and Wii, why didn't people just go to those consoles instead? Well, for one, the Xbox 360 is where all the cool kids were, so nobody cared about the PS3 until about 3 years later. And two, after playing Wii Sports on the Wii system for 2 weeks straight, came to realize you didn't give a shit about the system, gave it to your mom, and then went back to the Xbox 360 to play Call of Duty and Halo with your friends. The console also had this beauty of a dashboard right here, then this really good dashboard right here, and then this ugly piece of trash right here. But we'll get into this one in particular later on in the video, don't you worry. But regardless of the system's problems, people kept buying the system and playing games in it. And Xbox Live and its services, regardless of its fee, really helped out with that. And features such as the Xbox Live Party system only helping out even more at that. Overall, the console's online ecosystem alongside its exclusives only helped it stay superior to the PlayStation 3, at least in the eyes of the majority of people. And so throughout the system's life cycle, it continued to be extremely popular and something everybody had a great time playing on. Whether it be the original white fat model, the also big fat and white arcade model, or the eventual Xbox 360 Elite model, everybody was an Xbox 360 fan. Oh, and did I mention that beautiful startup? What a pleasant way to start off your time with an Xbox 360, turning it on and seeing that beauty on your screen. A beautiful startup that was slightly altered and made even more beautiful looking in 2010 with the launch of the Xbox 360 Slim. In other words, what the console should have looked like from the start. Black, sleek, small, and just all around absolutely gorgeous looking. Even if it did ship with the inconvenient brick, which thankfully did go away with later Xbox One models, it was still an awesome looking system nonetheless. But even with how great all this news was, unfortunately, there was also the announcement of the Xbox 360 Kinect device. A gimmicky device, just like the PlayStation Move, that had been made solely for the sake of banking on the Wii's success. And just like the Xbox brick, it took way too long to finally get rid of, but at least it finally went away nonetheless. But once everyone realized it was trash, everyone stopped using it, and then everybody got pissed at the fact that Microsoft brought it back for a little while for the Xbox One. But I've already talked about it in the first episode, so you can go check that out, of course, once you're done watching this video. But regardless of what had happened with the system that year, it still continued being successful up until its last year as a current generation system in 2013. Regardless of this garbage dashboard that was introduced in 2011. No, I do not care if we are past this era of Xbox. The fact that it is still there every single time I log into my Xbox 360 every 8 months makes me triggered, and I will never forgive Microsoft for that. So, fuck you. And you know what? Come to think of it, another thing that certainly can't be forgiven within the last year of the Xbox 360's lifespan is the fact that the only exclusive released in 2013 was Gears of War Judgment of all things. Microsoft. You mean to tell me that within the last year of the Xbox 360's life, while Sony was able to put out The Last of Us 1, as well as Beyond Two Souls, within the last few months of the PS3's lifespan as a current-gen system, all you could do within 1 year was Gears of War Judgment? How is that even possible? So yes, while Xbox 360's second half, or more specifically, its last quarter, certainly wasn't up to par with the first two of its lifespan, it still managed to somehow be successful, until May 2013 arrived, and the Xbox brand was permanently damaged, and it took Phil Spencer to turn it around starting in 2014, or 2013 if you count Microsoft going back at all their decisions for the One. But regardless of all the mistakes that Microsoft had made, it's good to see that unlike the original Xbox, they continued supporting the Xbox 360 beyond its current gen lifespan. All the way up to 2016 when they had inevitably stopped manufacturing the system to be made. And even if they are no longer manufacturing the system, they're still supporting online for it, through a means of backwards compatibility. Even though the final model for the Xbox 360 released in 2013 was absolutely hideous. No, Microsoft, we don't care about how silent the system is, it's absolutely awful looking. Microsoft, you mean to tell me that you couldn't use this beautiful startup screen for the Xbox One? But you could make this design for the 360? My god, what is wrong with you? Yes, I know it's a long startup, but that doesn't mean it can't be slightly shortened. That's what editing is for. But it is nice to see that Microsoft is most likely going to get away from this design with the next gen. Speaking of, it's crazy to see that we are now starting to reach that point once again, 7 years later. And while the PS3 may have slightly overtaken it in the end with the Wii absolutely eclipsing both, the 360 still had one hell of a run. That's something everyone could definitely agree on. And now it's nice to look back at it in retrospect to see how it started, how it was perceived throughout time, and where it is now in modern day. So a system that started out rocky, to over time was loved by the gaming community, to now look back as a great system. And that is what the Xbox 360 was. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Please. It would mean the world to me. And that's all I had to say. I'll see you all next time, but until then, I'm out. Peace.